everyone, this is Jungkook. Before we start, I want to know where you're listening from. Drop your country in the comments below. I want to tell you something that's been sitting in my chest for months. It's not something about music or fame or stage lights. It's something quieter. Something that's been growing inside me while the world keeps asking me one question I don't have an answer to yet. When are you getting married? I've laughed it off every time. Said things like, I'm still young, or I'm focused on my work. But truthfully, I've been thinking about it. Not just marriage itself, but what comes after it. What happens when the lights go out, when ARMY goes to sleep, when I'm not the Jungkook you see on stage, but just a man trying to figure out how to build a life that feels real. The idea of marriage used to scare me. Not because I don't believe in love, I do. I've seen love in the way Jimin quietly checks if everyone's eaten before himself. In the way Namjoon pauses before answering, thinking of how his words might land. In the way Taehyung calls his grandma every week, no matter how late it is. That's love. Small, real, constant. But I also saw how love asks for balance. And that's something I'm still learning. Because my life isn't balance. My world spins too fast. I wake up thinking about melodies, schedules, workouts, deadlines. I go to sleep with my brain buzzing about music I haven't finished. And when I think about being someone's husband, I wonder, can I really be there? Not halfway, not distracted. Can I love someone the way they deserve to be loved without losing the part of me that lives for the stage? The truth is, I've already imagined it. I've imagined the morning after the wedding, no cameras, no stylist, no schedule, just quiet. I picture her making coffee while I'm trying to write a song. Both of us in the same space but in different worlds. And I ask myself, would that be enough for her? Would it be enough for me? I think about what Yoongi once said. Peace doesn't mean silence. It means you found something worth staying quiet for. I guess I'm searching for that kind of peace. I don't want to rush into something just because the world expects me to. I've seen too many people fall in love with the idea of love and then wake up next to someone they don't really know. I don't want that. I want to know her heart when the world isn't watching. I want her to understand that sometimes I'll disappear into my music for days. Not because I'm lost, but because that's how I breathe. Jin once told me that marriage isn't about finding someone perfect. It's about finding someone whose imperfections you can handle forever. And I think about that a lot. I've spent years surrounded by people who love me for what I give them. My voice, my presence, my energy. But marriage asks for something else. It asks for who I am when I have nothing to give. When I'm tired, when I'm quiet, when I don't have answers. I wonder if I'm ready for someone to see that side of me. Not Jungkook the artist, but Jungkook the human. And if I'm being honest, there's another reason I haven't rushed. BTS is my family. These 7 brothers, we've built something that feels bigger than us. Every time I think about starting my own family, a part of me feels guilty. Like I'd be leaving something behind. Like I'd be saying goodbye to a version of myself that only exists with them. Taehyung once joked, if one of us gets married, the others will cry harder than the bride's family. And I laughed. But deep down, I think he was right. Because our lives are stitched together in ways people don't see. If I ever walk down that aisle, I know they'll be there. Not as idols, not as guests, but as pieces of my soul standing next to me. But I also know this. Love isn't a threat to the bond we have. It's an expansion of it. I think that's what I'm learning. That maybe after the wedding, if it ever happens, what I plan to do isn't settle down or disappear or change who I am. What I plan to do is grow. Grow into someone who can love without losing his purpose. Someone who can go on stage, give everything, and still come home with something left to give. I don't want to choose between being an artist and being a husband someday. I want to learn how to be both imperfectly, honestly, with grace. So, what do I plan to do after the wedding? Maybe it's not a trip or a house or some big reveal. Maybe it's this. To keep becoming someone worth coming home to. To wake up every day choosing both the dream and the person beside me. To remember that love isn't about slowing down. It's about finding someone who runs at your rhythm. Someone who doesn't ask you to be less, but believes you can be more together. I don't know when that day will come, but when it does, I'll know. Because it won't feel like losing my freedom, it'll feel like coming home. That's where I'm at right now, between the noise and the quiet, between who I am and who I'm becoming. And maybe, just maybe, that's exactly where I'm supposed to be. When I think about what comes after the wedding, it's not the ceremony or the ring or the photo everyone will repost that keeps playing in my head. It's the silence after the music stops. The moment I wake up next to someone who isn't an audience, who doesn't expect perfection, who just sees me, sometimes I wonder what that version of me will look like. 'Cause right now, I'm still learning how to slow down. I've spent half my life chasing perfection, chasing applause, chasing something I can never quite hold. And maybe after the wedding, I don't want to chase anymore. Maybe I just want to breathe. Namjoon once told me, peace doesn't always come when everything is quiet. Sometimes peace is a choice you make while everything's still loud. I think about that a lot. My life has never been quiet. Even when I'm alone, my mind isn't. There's always a beat running in the background, always a camera, always someone waiting for me to say the right thing. But I think after the wedding, whenever it happens, I want to build a life where I don't have to perform, where I don't have to be the version of Jungkook the world expects. I want to wake up and not wonder what the internet thinks of my face that day. I want to walk through a market holding someone's hand without a mask or security, without worrying if it'll become a headline. Jimin once said something that hit me harder than I expected. He said, "You're always giving love away, but do you ever save some for yourself?" And I didn't know how to answer him. Because the truth is, I give it to the fans, to the music, to the members, to every dream that demands a little more of me. But after the wedding, I want to learn how to keep some of it, to come home and feel full, not drained. To sit on the floor with my dogs and laugh at nothing. To write music, not because I have to, but because I want to. Yoongi would probably tell me I'm being dramatic, that life doesn't change that easily. He'd be right. I know it won't magically become simple. But maybe simplicity isn't the goal. Maybe the goal is to make space for something real, even in the middle of chaos. Like the way we used to sit in the studio at 3 a.m., half asleep, but still talking about life like kids who thought the world was endless. Those moments felt real. I want more of that. Not for nostalgia's sake, but because I think real love feels like that soft, unhurried, unfiltered. Taehyung once told me, when you get married, you'll still be Jungkook. Don't let anyone tell you to be smaller just to fit into someone's idea of love. And I think that's my biggest fear, that I'll start cutting off parts of myself I don't want to be half of something just to say I'm whole. I want to meet someone who looks at me and sees the mess, the drive, the obsession, and doesn't try to fix it. Someone who says, I get it. That's what I plan to do after the wedding, protect that kind of honesty. Sometimes I imagine how the members will react when that day finally comes. Jin will probably cry first, pretending he's not. Hoseok will turn it into a dance. Namjoon will give a speech that makes everyone emotional and slightly confused. Jimin will hug me tighter than anyone else. Yoongi will sit quietly, but his eyes will say everything. And Taehyung, he'll probably joke, but his smile will be soft. That's how I know whatever comes next, it won't be lonely. Because even after the wedding, I'll still have them. I'm not saying I'm ready now. I'm saying I'm learning to be. I'm learning that love isn't the end of a story. It's just another beginning. That's what I plan to do after the wedding. Begin again. Begin as a better man, not a perfect one. Begin as someone who knows that fame doesn't mean fulfillment. Begin as someone who's okay not having all the answers. I want to be the kind of husband who still laughs at his own mistakes, who still sings loudly while cooking, who still looks at the people he loves and feels grateful that he didn't give up before he found them. So, yeah, maybe I don't know when the wedding will be. Maybe I don't even know who it'll be with. but I know what I want it to mean. I want it to be a promise not to never change, but to always grow. To love without fear. To live without pretending. To hold on to who I am and still make room for someone new. That's the plan. That's what I'll do after the wedding. You know, sometimes late at night when everything's quiet and I'm sitting alone with my guitar, I start imagining how life might feel when the noise finally fades. Not the good kind of noise, not the music or the laughter or the fans screaming our names, but the kind that fills your head when you're constantly expected to be something. After the wedding, I want silence that doesn't feel empty. I want peace that doesn't feel like absence. Maybe that's why I'm not rushing into it. I don't want a wedding that looks perfect. I want a life that feels honest. There was a night not long ago when all the members were together. We were just hanging out, eating, talking about random things. And someone, I think it was Hazik, said, "Can you imagine us as married men?" Everyone laughed, but there was a strange pause right after. Because for a second, we all realized we're not boys anymore. We've built empires, but we still haven't figured out what forever looks like. And I remember thinking, yeah, maybe that's okay. Maybe we're supposed to take our time learning what forever means. Namjoon said something that night that stuck with me. The hardest part about love isn't finding it. It's keeping it while staying yourself. And I get that. I've spent so many years trying to protect this version of me that the world fell in love with. The performer, the perfectionist, the man who never fails. But that version isn't all of me. There are parts that are quiet, awkward, uncertain, and whoever I marry, she'll have to meet all of those sides. The ones even I'm still learning to understand. Sometimes I wonder what she'll be like. I don't picture her face. I just imagine her presence. Maybe she's someone who doesn't need to talk all the time. Someone who's okay sitting beside me while I work, who understands that love isn't always loud. Someone who can handle the long silences without thinking they mean something's wrong. Because my world has never been still, and maybe what I need isn't someone to calm it, but someone who can exist within it. Yoongi always tells me, you can't plan love like you plan a comeback. He's right. Love doesn't have a schedule, and I think that's why I've stopped trying to control it. The more I try to predict it, the more I miss the beauty of what's in front of me. After the wedding, whenever that day comes, I want to stop predicting everything. I want to live, to wake up and not check my phone first thing. To laugh because something actually made me laugh, not because the camera's on. I know people expect a lot from me. They expect that my wedding will be some huge event, covered by every outlet, streamed live, a national moment. But that's not what I want. If I ever do it, I want it to be simple. A moment that belongs only to the people who were there, to the ones who helped me become who I am. Maybe in some quiet place, maybe with just the members and family, no fancy lights, no press, just love, raw and real. Jin would probably be the one fussing over details, making sure the food's perfect, making jokes to calm me down. Hoseok would make everyone dance. Taehyung would probably sing something slow, something that would make me cry. Jimin would just look at me, smiling that quiet smile that says everything without words. Yoongi would sit in the corner, pretending he's not emotional, but I'd know. And Namjoon would give one of those speeches that makes you want to laugh and cry at the same time. That's how I imagine it, not grand, just genuine. And maybe that's the real plan after the wedding, to build something genuine. I don't care if it's small. I just want it to be real. I don't want to lose myself trying to be what people think a husband should be. I want to love the way I create, fully, imperfectly, passionately. And if it means slowing down for a while or stepping away from the spotlight, I'm okay with that. Because for once, I'll be living not for performance, but for presence. When people ask what I'll do after the wedding, they expect an answer like move abroad or start a family or retire. But maybe it's none of that. Maybe what I'll really do is start over, not from zero, but from truth. To build a life that doesn't need validation, just love. to finally learn what it means to be loved, not because of who I am on stage, but because of who I am when the lights are off. That's what I want. That's the picture I carry in my head when the world feels too loud. And maybe that's enough for now to just dream about it without rushing. Because some things are worth waiting for. Some things deserve silence before the music begins again. Sometimes when I think about marriage, I don't think about the ceremony or the rings or even the vows. I think about quiet mornings, about waking up before the sun, about hearing the soft sound of rain outside the window, about turning over and realizing that for once, I don't have to rush anywhere. That feeling peace without pressure, that's what I imagine when I think about what comes after the wedding. There's this weird idea people have about me that I already have everything. Fame, success, money, fans, love. But you can have all those things and still feel like something's missing. Not because you're ungrateful, but because there's a part of you that none of those things can touch. That's the part. I think marriage touches the part that wants to be known, not admired. I think about that a lot. Namjoon once told me that real love is like writing a song that only 2 people will ever hear. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be honest. I think that's what I want. Honesty. The kind of honesty where you don't have to be your best self all the time. Where you can mess up, get lost, cry, and still be seen. Because being loved for your best moments is easy. It's being loved in your worst ones that shows you what's real. I've been lucky to see all the members in love in different ways. Not romantic love, just love. Yoongi's love looks like silence. It's calm and steady. Taehyung's love is playful, full of light and curiosity. Jimin's love is patient, soft in ways you don't notice until you need it. Hoseok's love is energy, it fills the room. Namjoon's love is words. He'll find the right one even when you can't. Jin's love is protection, loud, sometimes stubborn, but pure. Watching them, I realized that love doesn't have one face. It's a language you learn slowly through time and mistakes. And I've made mistakes. I've been selfish. I've hurt people I cared about because I was too busy chasing something I couldn't name. Sometimes I wonder if marriage will make me slow down, or if I'll just find new ways to move fast. I don't want to lose the fire that keeps me going, but I don't want it to burn the people close to me either. After the wedding, I want to learn that balance. The balance between passion and peace, between who I am on stage and who I am when the lights go out. I remember one night on tour, everyone had gone to bed, and I was sitting by myself in a hotel room somewhere in Europe. I looked out the window and saw couples walking, laughing, holding hands, and for the first time, I wondered what that felt like to walk without being watched, to love without being a headline. That moment stuck with me. It made me realize that the simple things I took for granted as a teenager are the things I crave now. Privacy, normalcy, freedom to just exist. After the wedding, that's what I want. Not a castle, not luxury, not perfection. I want to walk down the street with someone and not think about cameras. I want to cook something terrible and laugh about it. I want to argue and make up. I want to learn how to live quietly again. I think that's the part of life I've missed the most, the quiet parts. The ones that don't make headlines but make memories. Sometimes I wonder what the fans will think. ARMY has been part of my entire life. They've seen every version of me. Would they still see me the same if I got married? Would they still feel the same connection? Maybe some would, maybe some wouldn't. But I've learned that real fans don't love the idea of you. They love your truth. And my truth is that I'm growing up. I'm learning that love isn't a distraction from your purpose, it's what gives it meaning. After the wedding, I won't disappear. I'll still be me, still making music, still dancing, still showing up for the people who believed in me from the start. But I'll also be showing up for someone else too. Someone who reminds me that there's life outside the noise. That's what I plan to do after the wedding, to live. To really live. There are nights when I lie awake and wonder if I even know what kind of husband I could be. Not the picture people see online, but the real thing, the person who has to show up every day, who listens, who stays calm, when life gets messy. That thought scares me sometimes because so much of my life has been lived for moments that last 3 minutes on a stage. What happens when the song ends and you still have to be there? I guess that's what marriage means to me, staying when there's no music, no camera, no crowd to cheer you on. When I talk about this with the members, it always turns into something deep. Yoongi usually says it's better not to overthink it, that love happens when it happens. But Namjoon, he sees everything in balance. He tells me, you'll find someone who understands that your silence is just another language. Maybe that's what I'm hoping for, someone who doesn't get scared by the quiet parts of me, someone who can sit beside me while I'm lost in a melody and still feel close. Taehyung asked me once, do you think marriage will change you? And I didn't know what to say. I think it will, but not in the way people expect. I don't think it'll make me less of an artist or more of a grown-up. I think it'll make me more aware of how fragile time is, how precious every small moment can be. Like sharing a meal or falling asleep with someone's hand resting on yours. The older I get, the more I realize that's what real wealth looks like. Not cars or houses or fame, just peace. When we were younger, we used to say we'd all get married around the same time. It was a joke then. But now, when I look around, I see how fast time moves. Jin-hyung's words come back to me. Don't rush life. It doesn't start or end with marriage. He's right. My life started a long time ago on a small stage in Busan, in a practice room full of mirrors. But maybe after the wedding, life will start again differently. Maybe it won't be about proving myself anymore. Maybe it'll be about sharing what I've learned. I think that's why I'm not afraid of it anymore. The idea of being with someone forever used to sound like losing freedom. Now it sounds like finding it. Because when you meet the right person, you don't lose your wings. You just find someone who wants to fly with you. That's what I want. Someone who sees all my flaws and doesn't flinch. Someone who doesn't want to fix me, just walk beside me while I figure it out. After the wedding, I don't want to run away from the world. I just want to face it differently. Maybe I'll still sing, still perform, still chase dreams. But maybe I'll also take time to plant roots, not in a place, but in a person. I'll still have late nights in the studio, but maybe now there'll be someone waiting for me when I get home. Not angry, not lonely, just there. That's the picture I see when I close my eyes. Jimin once told me, you love deeply, but you hide it behind your work. He's not wrong. I pour it into songs, into performances, into everything except words. Maybe after the wedding, I'll learn how to say it more. Maybe I'll learn how to love in ways that don't need translation. Because that's what I think love is, not grand gestures, but understanding in silence. I know the world will have opinions. They always do. Some will be happy for me. Some will say I've changed. But maybe change isn't the enemy. Maybe it's the point. I've lived so long in other people's expectations that I forgot what it feels like to choose something just because it feels right. So if that day comes, if I finally say I do, it won't be for the headlines or the perfect photo. It'll be for peace, for truth. For me, that's what I'll do after the wedding. Not disappear, not retire, not reinvent myself. Just be a husband, a friend, an artist, a man who still believes that love and purpose can exist in the same life. Maybe that's the real dream I've been chasing all along. There are moments when I sit in the studio long after everyone's gone home, lights dim, the air heavy with leftover sound, and I start imagining what it'll be like when my world isn't just mine anymore. When there's someone whose world collides with mine, gently but unavoidably. That's what I think about when people ask me what I'll do after the wedding. It's not about the next step in fame or career. It's about learning how to let someone in completely without fear that they'll see the chaos behind the song. Sometimes I picture coming home from a concert, my voice tired, my body aching, and someone's just there. No questions, no expectations, Maybe she just hands me water, smiles, and says, "You did great." That's it. No spotlight. No noise. Just calm. And maybe that's what I've been chasing this whole time without realizing. Not applause, not validation, just calm. Because for so long, I've lived in motion. I've been running since I was a kid, from one goal to another, from one stage to the next. Maybe after the wedding, for the first time, I'll learn to stay still. I remember something Taehyung said once. We were driving late at night after rehearsal, just talking about life like we always do. He looked out the window and said, "You know what scares me? The idea that one day we'll all go home to different lives." I didn't answer then, but it stayed with me. Because it's true. We built our lives side by side, and someday those paths will branch out. It's not a sad thing, it's just how life works. But I think about it when I imagine getting married, I think about how that change won't just affect me. It'll ripple through all of us. Namjoon will probably be the first to understand. He always does. He'll tell me it's part of growing, part of writing a new verse in the same song. Jinyoung will tease me for crying, but his eyes will get wet first. Yoongi will act unaffected, but he'll stay up that night working on a track called Forever, Brother. Jimin will smile that gentle smile and remind me that love doesn't take us apart. It just adds new shapes to our hearts. Hoseok will probably dance about it, cause that's how he processes joy. And Taehyung will send me a text at 3 a.m. saying, "Don't forget us when you're happy." And I won't. I never could. Because no matter what happens after the wedding, they'll still be my foundation. BTS isn't just a name, it's a memory stitched into who I am. Marriage won't erase that. It'll give it new meaning. Maybe I'll write songs differently, not about longing, but about gratitude. Not about what I've lost, but about what I'm finally ready to keep. Maybe I'll sing softer, or maybe I'll sing louder. Maybe I'll finally understand the kind of love I've been trying to describe all these years without fully feeling it. After the wedding, I don't plan to disappear. I plan to create from a new place, from peace, from maturity, from the understanding that love doesn't distract you from your purpose. It deepens it. I want my music to sound like sunlight in the morning, gentle but alive. I want to write lyrics that people can hear and think, he's happy, but he's still him. Because that's what I want for myself, to be happy without losing myself. And maybe that's the point of all of this. The wedding, the planning, the waiting, it's not about reaching an endpoint. It's about becoming someone ready to share his life without fear. I think the younger version of me, the one who used to stare at the mirror rehearsing every move, would be proud to know that someday I'll find courage, not on a stage, but in love. So what will I do after the wedding? I'll still chase dreams, but I'll also chase peace. I'll still sing for Army, but I'll also sing for her. I'll still love my brothers, my fans, my work, but I'll learn to love myself too. And maybe that's the truest thing I've ever said. Because for once, I won't be running toward applause. I'll be running toward home. There are days when I think about how much of my life has been shared with the world. Every laugh, every tear, every stumble caught on camera somewhere. Sometimes I wonder what it would feel like to live a chapter that belongs only to me. Maybe that's what marriage will give me, something private. Something no one else can touch. Not because I'm hiding it, but because I finally learned that not everything beautiful needs to be seen to be real. I think about the first morning after the wedding a lot. Not the night, the morning, the quiet, the light coming through the curtains. Maybe there's no makeup artist, no schedule, no one knocking on the door to rush me somewhere, just peace. The kind of peace I haven't felt since I was a teenager, before the cameras, before the pressure. I imagine rolling over, seeing her still asleep, and realizing that life doesn't need to be loud to be meaningful. That maybe the best moments are the ones no one claps. It's strange how much my idea of happiness has changed. When I was younger, I thought success was everything. I thought if I worked hard enough, sang loud enough, smiled bright enough, I'd finally feel complete. But the truth is, there's a loneliness that comes with being loved by millions. You can be surrounded by people who adore you and still feel like no one truly knows you. That's the part of me I hope love can touch. The part that needs to be seen without the stage light. I remember once Jimin caught me zoning out after rehearsal. He asked what I was thinking about, and I said, I wonder if I'll ever get to be normal. He didn't answer right away. He just said, maybe your version of normal will look different, but it'll still be yours. That stuck with me. Maybe that's what I'm searching for, my version of normal. The version where I can walk through life without performing every second. Where I can just be Jungkook, not the image of him. Namjoon says, love and purpose don't have to fight each other. That's something I'm still learning. For so long, I believed that loving my work meant I couldn't love anything else as much. But now I think maybe love isn't about dividing yourself, it's about expanding. You grow in ways you couldn't alone. Maybe after the wedding, that's what will happen. Not losing my fire, but learning how to share the warmth. When I picture the members at my wedding, I smile without meaning to. Taehyung would probably be the loudest one, stealing the mic to give an embarrassing speech. Hoseok would dance first and make everyone join. Yoongi would be sitting quietly at a table, pretending to hate the noise but secretly enjoying every second. Namjoon would be talking about the philosophy of eternal connection. Jimin would cry, he always does. And Taehyung, he'd probably sing something emotional and say, this one's for our maknae, who grew up too fast. That's when I'd lose it. Because no matter how old I get, part of me will always belong to them. After the wedding, I don't think I'll ever stop being part of BTS. That love runs too deep. It's in my bones. But maybe I'll start learning how to be something else too. A partner, a husband, maybe even a father one day. And I'll carry everything they taught me into that new life. Their laughter, their honesty, their loyalty, that's what I want my home to feel like.